Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something I know a lot of you have been thinking about. Can we actually change people's minds about conspiracy theories?
It's a question that's been bugging me too, for sure.
Right. And a listener actually sent in this super interesting research article that we're going to unpack together today. It's called, get this, Using an AI-Powered Street Epistemologist Chatbot and Reflection Tasks to Diminish Conspiracy Theory Beliefs.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
It is, but it was just published this week, December 12th, 2024, in the HKS Misinformation Review. So it's hot off the presses.
Very cool. So what's the gist? What did they actually do in this study?
Well, the really fascinating thing about this study is that it's not about, just like throwing facts at people.
Right.
It's more about using, get this, AI chatbots
Okay.
and self-reflection prompts to get people to think critically about why they believe the things they believe.
I see. So instead of saying, you're wrong, here's the truth, it's more about getting people to examine their own reasoning.
Yeah, exactly. It's like leading with curiosity rather than confrontation. I really like that approach.
Me too. It definitely seems more likely to open people up to actually listening.
Right. So how did they test this out?
Well, they surveyed over 2,000 participants online back in April, and they made sure to get a good cross-section of the U.S. population, different ages, backgrounds, and all that.
So pretty representative sample.
Exactly. And everyone rated how much they agreed with these 7 different conspiracy theories. Then they got randomly assigned to different groups.
Oh, interesting. So different approaches to see what worked best.
Right. Some people got to chat with this AI chatbot they made.
A chatbot, huh?
Yeah, and it was programmed to kind of gently probe the person's reasons for believing the conspiracy theory. Not in a judgmental way, but just to get them thinking.
I like that. So what about the other groups?
Well, some of them were just asked to reflect on their own.
Just sit and think about it.
Yeah, but with some guidance. Like, some were asked to list their doubts about the theory, and others were asked to list the reasons they believe it.
Interesting. So they're basically nudging people to think differently about their beliefs, whether it's through the chatbot or just through their own internal reflection.
That's the idea.
But the big question is, did it actually work? Like, did people's belief in those conspiracy theories actually weaken after these exercises?
Okay, so here's the good news. All of the interventions, even just reflecting on their own, led to a statistically significant decrease in how strongly people believed in the conspiracy theory.
Wow, that's actually really encouraging. So even just taking a moment to introspect can make a difference.
It seems so.
Now, I got to ask, were there any surprises in the results? Anything that really stood out to you?
Oh, absolutely. Here's a twist that blew my mind. They also had some people reflect on a totally unrelated belief, something like, is breakfast really the most important meal of the day? Something completely non-controversial.
Okay, so kind of like a control group.
Right. But here's the thing. Getting people to question that totally unrelated belief actually weakened their belief in the conspiracy theories, too.
What? Really? That's wild. I would have thought focusing on a different belief would be a distraction.
I know, right? But it seems like just prompting people to reflect, to consider their uncertainties about anything, can have a ripple effect on other beliefs, too.
That's fascinating. So maybe it's not just about targeting specific conspiracy theories, but about promoting a more general sense of critical thinking.
That's what the researchers are suggesting. And think about it, this could be good news for tackling misinformation in general.
Definitely. If we can get people to be more reflective about all sorts of beliefs, not just those we label as conspiracy theories, it could make us all less susceptible to harmful ideas.
Exactly. It's about fostering a healthy skepticism, a willingness to question what we think we know.
That makes a lot of sense. So reflection is key, but I'm guessing it's not a magic bullet, right? Like, did everyone change their minds equally?
Ugh, that's where things get even more interesting. Not at all. The study found a couple of pretty surprising things, actually.
Oh, I'm all ears.
One had to do with, how much people value accuracy.
You mean like how much they care about their beliefs actually being true?
Yeah, exactly. You'd think that the folks who really, really want to be right would be the most open to changing their minds, right?
Makes sense to me. You want to make sure you're seeing the world the right way.
But the study found the opposite. The people who said accuracy was super important to them were the least likely to budge.
Huh. That's unexpected.
Yeah.
So if you're all about being right, you wouldn't want to update your beliefs, even with new info.
It's a weird one. It's possible that those folks are already so sure of themselves that they see any questioning as a threat, you know?
I guess I could see that. Like they've already done all the research and they don't want anything to rock the boat. So what about the folks who are like really deep into conspiracy theories? Like they see them everywhere. Do these exercises work on them?
Well, to figure that out, they used this scale. It's called the American Conspiracy Thinking Scale, ACTS for short.
Okay, so that's to measure how much someone leans toward those kinds of beliefs.
Yeah, exactly. It measures their like conspiracy mindset. And get this, the people who scored high on the ACTS, the ones who really see conspiracies everywhere, they showed almost no change in their beliefs after doing any of the exercises.
Whoa. So the people we might be most worried about, those who are really entrenched in that kind of thinking, seem to be the hardest to reach.
Yeah, it seems that way.
That's concerning. So even though reflection can help loosen up some beliefs, there's still this group who seem totally resistant to it. That makes tackling harmful conspiracy beliefs even tougher.
It does. It really raises some questions about how to reach those folks.
Right. Like, what can we do if even prompting them to reflect on their own thinking doesn't seem to work?
It's tough, but the researchers think we might need to shift our focus away from expecting a complete 180, you know?
You mean, instead of trying to completely dismantle their entire worldview, we should aim for smaller shifts, maybe just plant some seeds of doubt.
Exactly. Think about it like gardening. You can't expect a tiny seed to grow into a giant oak overnight, right? It takes time, patience, the right conditions. Changing deeply held beliefs is kind of like that too.
That's a great analogy. But how do we create those right conditions, especially for people who are so suspicious of anything that challenges their beliefs?
One thing that might help is making sure people feel safe to question their own beliefs, you know? Like create spaces where they don't feel like they're going to be judged or attacked for having those thoughts.
Right, so it's not about bombarding them with facts and figures, but more about encouraging a genuine curiosity and open-mindedness, like, hey, let's explore this together.
Exactly. We need to remember that for a lot of people, their beliefs are deeply tied to their identity, how they see themselves, how they fit into the world.
So when those beliefs are challenged, it can feel like their whole world is crumbling, like they're being attacked personally.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to approach these conversations with empathy, you know, to try and understand where they're coming from and why those beliefs feel so important to them.
That makes a lot of sense. If your whole worldview is built on certain ideas, having them questioned can be really unsettling.
For sure. So we got to be sensitive to that. Start by finding common ground, building trust, emphasizing shared values. Like maybe we can all agree that it's important to seek truth, to be informed, to make decisions based on evidence.
Right. Even if we don't agree on what that truth is or what counts as valid evidence, we can at least agree that those are good things to strive for.
Exactly. We can find points of connection even if we disagree about the specifics.
It's almost like saying, hey, I understand where you're coming from. We both want to get things right. Let's explore this together.
I like that. It's about collaboration, not confrontation.
But what about those people who seem totally resistant to changing their minds, even though they say they care about accuracy? The study showed they were the toughest group to reach. How do we reach them?
It's the million-dollar question, and honestly, there's no easy answer. But the study gave us one idea we might need to help people see their beliefs as separate from their sense of self.
Whoa, that sounds deep. How do you separate someone's beliefs from who they believe they are?
Well, it's about helping them understand that it's okay to be wrong. Like, changing your mind doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're willing to grow, to learn.
That's a powerful shift. Instead of seeing a changed belief as a personal failure, it becomes a sign of growth.
That's the idea. And that ties into what we were talking about earlier about creating a safe space for questioning beliefs.
Right. If someone's whole identity is wrapped up in what they believe, any challenge to those beliefs is going to feel like a threat.
Exactly. So we need to make it okay for people to say, hey, I might be wrong about this. We need to make changing your mind something to be proud of, not ashamed of.
Almost like we need to redefine what it means to be right or wrong. Maybe true strength is not about clinging to your beliefs no matter what, but about being open to learning and evolving.
I like that. We tend to think strength is about being unshakable, but maybe real strength is about being flexible. It's about being able to say, hey, I was wrong, and now I know better.
But that's tough in our culture, right? We're always told to be confident, to stand our ground, to never back down. Admitting uncertainty can feel like weakness.
Totally. And that makes it even harder to cultivate a mindset that's open to nuance, complexity, and the possibility of being wrong.
So how do we shift that cultural mindset? That seems like a huge task.
It's huge, for sure, but I don't think it's impossible. It starts with small changes, promoting critical thinking from a young age, teaching people how to evaluate information, how to tell if a source is trustworthy, and encouraging respectful dialogue even when we disagree.
That's a good start. It's about building a culture that values curiosity more than certainty, humility more than arrogance.
Absolutely. And it's about being open to learning from each other, even when we disagree.
The study found that reflecting on a non-conspiracy statement actually helped weaken belief in conspiracy theories too.
I know, right? Super interesting.
It suggests that just getting people to think critically about any belief, even one that's totally unrelated, can have a positive impact.
And that's why I think part of the solution is to broaden people's perspectives,
Yeah.
expose them to different ideas, different ways of thinking, even if those ideas have nothing to do with the conspiracy theories they believe in.
It's like diversifying your intellectual diet. Don't just focus on one narrow set of beliefs. Explore different things, get a taste of everything.
I love that. It's like cross-training for your mind. And just like physical cross-training, it can make you stronger, more resilient, less likely to get injured.
I love that analogy. Injured, meaning falling for misinformation or clinging to harmful beliefs. It's about building a mind that can handle complexity, ambiguity, and even conflicting information.
Right. And that goes back to the idea of a growth mindset. You're always learning, always growing, always open to new ideas.
It's a powerful way to approach the world. And it reminds me of something else we've been talking about throughout this episode, AI.
Oh yeah, AI. The study showed that even a simple chatbot could help people reflect and maybe even change their minds.
Imagine the possibilities if we could develop even more advanced AI tools that were designed to specifically help people think more critically and be more skeptical.
Like a personalized street epistemologist you could carry around in your pocket.
Exactly. Someone who's always there to help you question your assumptions and think more carefully about the information you come across.
Though we also got to be really careful about how we develop and use those tools, right?
Of course. AI is incredibly powerful, but it's just a tool. We have to make sure we're using it ethically and responsibly.
Right. We don't want AI to control our beliefs or manipulate our minds.
It's a delicate balance for sure. We need to harness its power without giving up our own agency.
Exactly. We need to be proactive about setting ethical guidelines, figuring out the potential risks, and making sure human values are front and center as we develop these new technologies.
This isn't just a tech issue, though. It's a societal one. We all need to think about what kind of world we're creating with AI. What values are we embedding into these systems? And how will they shape our lives?
AI is a reflection of us, our values, and what we hope for the future. We need to keep that in mind as we develop these powerful tools.
So much to think about.
It is. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. The power of reflection, the potential and risks of AI, and this idea of cultivating a growth mindset both for ourselves and for our society as a whole.
It seems like one of the key takeaways is this. We need to be open to changing our minds. Our understanding of the world should always be evolving.
I completely agree. We should be curious, humble, and always ready to learn from each other, especially when we disagree.
Well said. This has been a really thought-provoking conversation. It's challenging, but ultimately it's a hopeful message. Okay, let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts, but we'll be back in a moment with our final reflections on this fascinating topic. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into this study on changing minds. It's amazing how this research really goes beyond just conspiracy theories, doesn't it?
Totally. It's about how we all form our beliefs about pretty much anything.
Right, like how do we even know what we know? It's easy to just take things at face value, especially in today's world.
Yeah, we're bombarded with info from every direction, especially online. It's like a constant stream of news, opinions, everything.
So how do we even begin to become more aware of our own biases? Those things that make us see the world in a certain way.
Well, I think a big part of it is being more mindful about where we get our information from. We can't just passively absorb everything that comes our way.
Yeah, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So how do we filter all that noise and find sources we can actually trust?
It takes some effort, for sure. Being more intentional. Choosing your sources carefully, not just going for the most convenient or eye-catching thing.
So like being more selective about what we let into our minds.
Exactly. And fact-checking is crucial. Don't just believe everything you read or hear. Take the time to verify things.
Makes sense. But there's so much out there. How do we even know where to start?
And here's something that's maybe even more important. Seek out different perspectives, even those you might initially disagree with.
Ah, that's tough, but so important.
It is. It's like having a balanced diet, but for your mind.
I love that. A mental diet. What we consume shapes our thinking.
Totally. We got to make sure we're getting a good mix of viewpoints, not just the ones that already align with our existing beliefs.
So diversify those mental ingredients.
Exactly. And just like with food, check the labels. Make sure those ingredients are high quality, you know? Make sure you're not being fooled by some fancy packaging or a catchy slogan.
Develop that critical eye. Learn how to spot misinformation. Identify those sources that are really just trying to push an agenda.
That takes practice, though. It's a skill. We're not born knowing how to do that.
And it's a skill we got to teach our kids, too. How to be savvy consumers of information. How to navigate this crazy online world.
Media literacy, man, it's more important now than ever.
You know, this whole discussion has gotten me thinking about something. If just asking people to reflect on their beliefs can be so powerful, even without giving them any new information, what does that say about the nature of belief itself?
Whoa, that's a deep one. What do you mean?
Like, it suggests that beliefs aren't these fixed, solid things, right? They can shift and change based on our experiences and even our own thoughts.
It's like beliefs are more of a process than a product.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's not so much about being right or wrong, but about trying to make sense of the world.
Beliefs are how we interpret things, how we find meaning, how we make decisions.
And that's always evolving as we learn new things and encounter new perspectives.
Absolutely, and that's where reflection comes in. When we take a step back, question our assumptions, consider different viewpoints, it allows our beliefs to grow and change.
So we're not just passively accepting whatever we've been told or what we've always thought. We're actively engaging with our beliefs, testing them, seeing if they hold up.
It's like saying to yourself, okay, this is what I believe right now, but I'm open to being wrong.
And that openness, that willingness to be wrong, it's actually a strength, isn't it?
Totally. It opens the door to learning, growth, and a better understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
I love that. It's about embracing the journey, knowing that our understanding will always be evolving.
That's a great way to sum it up. Well, to our listener who sent in this article, thank you. We've barely scratched the surface, but I hope this deep dive gave you something to think about.
And to everyone listening, remember this. The next time you find yourself holding on to a belief really tightly, take a moment. Why do you believe it? What evidence supports it? Are there other perspectives you haven't considered yet?
Those questions can lead to some really incredible insights.
Keep those minds curious and open, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.